Okay, in order to make your ciabatta bread, you're going to need a tablespoon of yeast, a cup plus 1 tablespoon of room temperature water, and 3 1/3 cups flour. First thing you do, put your water in your big mixing bowl. Don't drop your spoon. Add your tablespoon of yeast into your room temperature water. We'll put the cover on that later. When I mix this, I use a chopstick when I'm mixing doughs because it just works. I don't know why. It's just something I saw from a cooking show. Dude's making rice noodles, and he's just, and then, like, I'm gonna show you. Okay. So we got our yeast in our water. We're gonna take our first cup of all-purpose flour, dump that in, give it a stir, get it all mixed up here, nice and good. You don't see any more dry spots. Remember to scrape down the edges of the bowl. Get my hand out of the way so you can see better. Now this is not actually the full dough recipe. This is just how to make the starter. So, cup number 2. Down and in. Mix this in. Ciabatta is kind of similar to a sourdough in that you make a starter first, except I'm not going to let this age for like a few days. It's just going to age overnight in my fridge. Scrape down the sides, scrape down the sides. Starting to get stiff. Cup number 3, on with our 1/3 of a cup. Polish this off. So that's a cup of water plus a tablespoon of yeast, 3 1/3 cups of flour. Just keep stirring this in until you get rough. All the flour is incorporated. Stir it up enough that we can start getting in here with our hands. We're trying to get as much flour as you can on your hands so that way it doesn't stick to you. Just keep churning it, smushing it. Knead this up against the bowl until you get all this flour incorporated into our dough. Hands aren't floured enough. Starting to stick a little bit. That's okay. Might have to stand up here for a minute. Yeah, just smushing it down, flipping it over, work some of this stuff in, and I just pick it up, fold it over into it. One of the things about letting this rest overnight is all this work that we're putting into the dough to get it mixed up. It's going to have a chance to expand, relax, make that nice and fluffy-ish. Ciabatta's kind of flat bread, but all right. This pretty well worked in. Now we're going to let our starter rest in the fridge overnight. And I gotta clean up this mess before Laura gets home, so she doesn't even think that I've got it made. Uh-oh, I think she's here. Alright, good morning everyone. Sorry I jumped ahead a little bit, but I've already got my half a cup plus 3 tablespoons of semolina flour, also known as pasta flour, and my pinch, which is 1/16 of a tablespoon of dry yeast in this bowl. To this, I need to add 3/4 of a cup of room temperature water plus 2 tablespoons. So, a half plus 1/4 makes 3/4, and then 2 tablespoons. The whole reason why I had the yeast and the bread together is I almost accidentally inverted those numbers, and that would have made a very wet, actually a very dry dough compared to what we were wont to do. And then I need 2.5 teaspoons of salt. So I'm going to summon a jar of salt right here. All right. All right, so I got my salt. So I need two. This is 1, 2. And a half. Now I need my handy dandy stirring chopstick. Alright, with my chopstick, I'm going to stir this dough up. That is really soupy. Got that stirred up. Now I need to break off pinches of this. This is where it's going to get messy, because we're going to start squeezing these two mixtures together, which is good because this is quite a wet dough that I've got in here. And my starter is quite dry. These should all start squishing together. Ooh, that feels so weird. But it's going to taste so good. Trust me, you're going to get your hands messy on this dish, but you're going to enjoy it. Amazing loaf of sourdough. Not sourdough, ciabatta. Because I have a starter dough. My brain just wants to be like, it's sourdough. No, it's ciabatta. We didn't age this for like half a week. Oh, it feels so weird. This dough is so tough and dry. It honestly feels like it's got like a consistency almost like Play-Doh that's been left out overnight. wasn't sealed on quite tight enough. Alright, now I'm going to start mixing and squishing this together until all the dough is reconstituted and makes a uniform consistency. Alright, so we let this sit for 20 minutes. Now we're just folding it together some more, get more stirred up. It's already absorbed some of that water in. We're just giving it a good additional mix. It's all incorporated. It's less like it was more like a cake dough once I got it all squished together. Now it's actually starting to form up as more of that flour absorbs more of that water. Holding it, turn the bowl, holding it, turn the bowl. Yeah, that's starting to look like a dough. I was really worried because it was really wet. It really is still wet still. That's why you want to stir it with a spoon or a spatula or whatever you got for your mixing tool. Mom, I didn't steal any of your nice silicone mixing spatulas, so I don't have one anymore. Need to get one. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Alright, scrape it down from the sides. Give it a little pat. And we're going to cover it up for another 20 minutes. So we let it sit for 20 minutes. Now we need to stir it again, folding, turning. The more it sits, the more it becomes a dough. This is so weird and cool. We're just folding this over. Fold it over about 6 times. Flatten it out, flip it over. You can turn your bowl a little bit, change your angle of attack. Alright, and 20 more minutes. Okay, we got one more 20-minute rest period to do. So we need to sprinkle our work surface. I'm going to be using 2 baking trays for this project, but I like to use my first baking tray as my work surface, so I don't get flour all over the place and I don't waste any of this flour. So we're just going to get 2 tablespoons of Semonilia pasta flour out here. Alright. We're going to take a scraper. Now we're going to work our way around the edge of the bowl. We need to get this out. bits that are stuck inside, scraped off. Don't want to waste any of this bready goodness. Now we got this onto our cut this into 2 separate pieces. Flour on our hands because it's gonna get in here. Okay. So we divided our dough in half. We're gonna let this sit. Get some more space. We're going to let these set for 20 minutes, and then we're going to transfer one of these onto another floured baking sheet and get ready to put these in the oven. So I'll be back when I'm ready to do that. So, alright, so I put more Semonilia pasta flour, I cannot pronounce that. Alright, onto this baking sheet, and we're going to take take this dough, and this one, roll it, put it over here. We're just going to flatten it out. Put you back in there. And this dough is super sticky. Flip this one over. We're just shaping it into something that's about 4 inches across, like 16 long. Our little indents, top with our fingertips. Get that all evened out. So it's actually close to being square. And now these go into the oven at 425 for 25 minutes. So I'm gonna pop them in the oven. Because I'm going to be using 2 big racks, I'm going to like rotate halfway through. So put it in for 13 minutes. Bake, then switch them so the one that was on top is on the one on bottom. But yeah, it's baking time. That's all you gotta do. I'll just be back to show you off the finished product and cut off a little sample taste. So the focaccia bread is out of the oven, nice and cuts. Oh, so the ciabatta bread is out of the oven. Actually, you could easily have made this into a focaccia bread if you put the herbs on top. But no, it cuts nice and crusty. It's nice and spongy on the inside. Lots of little air pockets where that yeast was there. So oh, that's good. Nice crunch, really good. This is gonna make amazing sandwiches. But yeah, it's chewy, crunchy, and all together really good. I cannot wait to have the sandwich that we've shown previously on Recipe Roulette that I just got put together. I've been sampling little bits of it. I got a little bit of everything so far, so I'm sampling the bread. Now I can't wait to taste it all together for the first time for me. But I've already done it for you. Remember, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can keep up to date with everything that's happening, even though it doesn't happen necessarily in chronological order sometimes. Anyways, peace! This has been a Recipe Roulette bonus.